no auntie, no uncle, no candle, nothing should enter the hole. Nothing. It's supposed to be on your wedding night. That's how God planned it, and I'm going to show you from the Bible. When you don't know, people are poking you, every man will come and put it. Before you know it, this is how your body is inside. But because you can't see it, who knows what's happening to you? Do you guys understand? Your body inside opens up. But if you keep yourself, it's meant to be on your wedding night with your husband, one man. Now, does this thing look bad, even with this hole? No. Does it look bad with this hole?
Yes.
Does it look bad with this hole?
Yes.
Because it was badly. Now, is this thing still pure? No. It's not pure. But does it look expensive? Yes. The same way when you don't keep what God gave you, your virginity. If you know what, the way God made it, like God seals it up, though you cannot see it. God does what? Seals it up. When you go to a bookshop and you get a book, how many of you have gone to a bookshop and you see a book that is sealed, and when you want to read it, you can't open it? Have you seen it? You try, but you can't do what? What about books that are open? What happens? Once you open it, what happens? It's open for every. The same way God sealed it up because
just got married, right? Just today, like 4 hours ago. Okay, and do you guys know each other's body count? Yes. Oh, okay. Body count? No. That's irrelevant. Is it? Yes, pass it to pass. Like, this is my future. Are you willing to admit it right now?
9.
9?
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS who taught me this truth. Salutations to the elect, feeding the sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, with sincerity and truth. I'm the brother Barak. Lord willing, this will be another edifying lesson. And this lesson is going to be about, why virginity matters for a woman. Why does it matter, right? Yeah, because in the ancient world, man, nobody wanted a woman that was used up, right? And if they were used up, well, I guess you consider them a concubine at that point, whether they be mostly of lower status, right? But most of the time, you're taking a wife as your virgin, a virgin wife, right? You don't want a wife that has been with all these different types of men. A woman who has who's been sexually penetrated, right? Where when a man basically gets into a woman, what happens? That man's DNA gets into that woman, right? So when a man leaves his seed in that woman, that sperm remains into the tissue of that woman. It stays there. It permanently affects their body, right? It goes into their affects their brain. It affects their everything about them, right? So then when you have all these women, the woman getting with all these different men, what happens? All these different types of sperm gets into the woman, right? That's when you start getting diseases. Your children end up. This is why your children end up becoming retarded, right? Because it completely destroys the woman's body, right? And let's bring out the scripture. It says Proverbs 31. It says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies," right? So that's rare that you're gonna find a woman that has very few bodies, right? Woman who listens to her husband. And some of these women out here are what you call like soft hoes. You know what I'm saying? They might not have sex, but they might have sucked 100 dicks, right? They might have go with all these different men, and you just not have had sex, and you still don't these women are just concubines at that point. In the ancient world, these women would be put to death, right? And we're going to bring that out. It says right here, Leviticus 20:10, it says, "If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor. Both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. Right? So, like I said before, you have these women who are married to men, and then they're going out gathering abroad, and they have all that different sperm in them. You're getting fucked by all these different people, So, in the ancient world, you would have been killed for that, and that's righteous. There is no problem with that. If a woman cheats, she should be killed. And that's the way Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, which is the true name of the Heavenly Father, and the true name of his Son, right? It's not JC, it's not Jesus Christ, it's not Yeshua, it's not Yahuwah. That's how he made it, right? He set up certain laws so people wouldn't do these things, and if they did these things, there would be supreme consequences, right? And as you see in the video, the woman teaching, she basically is, teaching these young children, this stuff at an early age, right? And some people are gonna say, that's disgusting, that's terrible, but it's actually a good thing. So they know not to, just treat themselves like a, become a whore at such an early age. Start sleeping with all these different men, right? And these women, they understand that. That's why they lie about their past, right? They lie about how many men they slept with, because it's something that they cannot change. And for a man, that it's not the same. A man can have many wives, concubines, while a woman, she can't have many partners. She can only have one man, right? And that's the way it was supposed to be, right? Now, on this side, which is, the earth we're living in right now, before the new covenant fully established, right? There's if you have to just deal with one of these women, on, a carnal level, if you're just burning with lust, right? And, you have these women as a concubine, that's fine, King Solomon had many concubines, right? As long as they're not actually married to anybody, you can keep them as a concubine, right? But do you really want to get with a woman like that? That's the thing. If a woman, she has to give her, first of all, she has to give her husband a bill of divorce. The husband has to give her a bill of divorce. And if they're not married, then yes, you could deal with them, right? But don't be going around just fucking whoever, because a lot of these people are what? They're married, right? You cannot sleep with another man's wife, right? That's going off, right? And that's adultery, right? But, do you even want to deal with these types of women? They're going to lead you with a lot of different problems, a lot of different issues, right? They might set you up, they might put you on child support, right? So, to be honest, these types of women with high body counts, are they even worth dealing with? I mean, probably not, that's why, what the scriptures talk about, these women, being more, like precious, like rubies, right? They barely exist nowadays, especially in Babylon, which is America, right? And there's going to be a time where mass chaos will erupt, and then that's when the men of the Lord feeding the sheep of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that's when they're gonna we're gonna be able to have the Lord is gonna set seven women to one man, meaning seven being a complete number. So it can be more, it can be less, right? And he's gonna set up virtuous women, not these dirty whores, these dirty tainted women, right? these who are just completely all fucked up, right? Nobody wants some spoiled ass, dirty ass whore, and these women have to understand, when they do all this sleeping with all these different men, their value diminishes, right? And in the second clip, you have this one dude who appears to be an Edomite, and I put the clip for I'm saying he could be an Edomite. I'm not fully sure, but basically he gets married to this woman, and right after their wedding, she reveals her body count, and he says that doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, whatever. He still, you can tell in his facial expression, he was definitely embarrassed at the fact that his woman slept with these men, multiple men before he did, right? And because he's just her turn, it just his turn, right? Let's bring out some more precepts. This book of Ecclesiasticus 26:8. It says, a drunken woman and a gatter abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame, right? So this woman in that clip, she was drunk. It looked like she was drunk, right? And she revealed her body count, right there, right? And she's a dirty whore, man. That's okay, man, because what the wicked woman will be given unto the wicked men, right? These bitches, these demons out here are gonna get with other demons, right? And that's fine. The Lord is gonna reserve His, righteous, sincere woman for, His elect men, right? But it says, what, she's a gatherer abroad, meaning she goes and she travels and she has all these different partners. She has sex with different men, different women, right? That's why these bitches, they like taking all these sorts of, vacations and shit, saying that they need time to themselves when really is they're just cheating on your ass. They don't give a fuck about you, because they got so many different spirits on them, right? Their brain completely fucked up, and nobody gonna have a wedding with these dirty whores. You gotta be one real sucker to one real simp to have a wedding with one of these hoes, man. And they know that that their body's completely damaged, right? That's why they envy a virtuous and a pure woman. The scriptures talk about that, right? This book of 2 Esdras 16 and verse 49, it says, as a whore envieth a right and honest woman, and right honest and virtuous woman, so shall righteousness hate iniquity when she decketh herself, right? So these bitches, the prophets knew, they as they were observing, people, they were observing these women. They could tell that these women, they hate, a woman that hasn't been what defiled, right? They don't like that. They don't like that woman that hasn't slept with any man, right? They despise a woman with a stable a marriage, right? A woman with a stable family with lots of children, with a good husband, with a good a nice home, right? They despise that because these women, they have something. They can't ever get that back, and they were impatient, right? They wanted to seek pleasure early in their life. They wanted to seek being a whore, right? So they went out, did all these things, and then now they want to settle down with a man, and they can't find a man because they're whores. They've been permanently affected, right? So, that's why ultimately that's why your body count, it does matter. It does matter according to the scriptures, right? Your virginity, it does matter. And that's why the Lord, he's gonna save his few sincere women, right? For his elect men, right? These women that aren't going out fucking all these different dudes, going out having sex, with all these different men, right? So these things do absolutely matter, right? And it will determine your, it will determine, whether, it ultimately, it shows whether the Lord really is preserving you or not, right? And so, with that, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash, Shalom.